Good morning, students. Moving to the new chapter, P block elements. So, which elements constitute the P block elements? Group 13 to 18 of the periodic table elements constitute P block elements. So, what are P block elements? The elements from group 13 to 18 constitute P block elements, which includes metals, metalloids, as well as non-metals. So your P block elements includes metals, non-metals as well as metalloids. Now, what is the outer electronic configuration of P block elements? The outer electronic configuration is Ns2 Np126. This is the outer electronic configuration of P block elements. And as we all know, the first member from group 13 to 15 will possess special anomalous behavior when compared to others in terms of size, in terms of electronegativity. Then, because of the absence of electrons in d orbitals, so these are the special features which make the first member from group 13 to 18 different from other elements in terms of size, electronegativity and absence of electron in the d orbitals. As well as the first member has more ability to form pi bonds to itself as well as to the second member of the group compared to other elements from the same group. So these are the introduction about P block elements. So group 13 to 18 constitute P block elements, which include metals, metalloids as well as non-metals, and their outer electronic configuration is Ns2 Np126. The first member is different from the other members of the same group in terms of size, electronegativity in case of d orbital, as well as in forming pi bonds with respect to itself as well as with the second member of the same family compared to the others. Now we are going to see group 13 elements. We are going to see group 13 elements. So group 13 elements include boron, aluminium, gallium, indium and thallium. So we know how to remember this: Bengan, Alu, Gazar in Thaila, which means boron, aluminium, gallium, indium and gallium, indium, thallium. Okay. So in this we are going to see the first member, because the first member is possessing special properties compared to other members of the same number, I mean from the same group. So boron, aluminium, gallium, indium, thallium, in which boron is possessing special anomalous behavior. You know, boron is a non-metal. When you compare it with aluminium, who is its second member, which is a metal. Also, your aluminium shows many similarities to boron. And look into gallium, indium and thallium, they are also metallic in nature. Okay, so boron is a non-metal. Compared to aluminium, gallium, indium and thallium, they show metallic character. Now, what is the electronic configuration of boron? It is Ns2 Np1. And what about atomic radii? What about atomic radii of boron? The atomic radii of boron, it increases because as we move down the group, the number of electrons will be successively added, so the radius size increases. When you look into the atomic radii of gallium, gallium is less than aluminium because the presence of 10 electrons, this is going to give me a poor shielding effect for the outer electrons from increased nuclear charge in gallium. Then when you look into the atomic radii of gallium, gallium is less than that of aluminium. This is the reason why your gallium's atomic radii is less than aluminium. So on moving down the group, in each member one extra shell of electrons will be added, so atomic radii increases. Atomic radii of gallium is less than aluminium due to the presence of additional 10 electrons in d orbital, which can offer a poor shielding effect for the outer electrons from the increased nuclear charge in gallium. So this is the reason why gallium's atomic radii is less than aluminium. But the overall phenomena is atomic radii increases as we move down the group because additional electrons are added to each member. Now, what happens to ionization enthalpy? What happens to ionization enthalpy? The ionization enthalpy, this is not expected as from the general trends. It will not decrease smoothly. See, it decreases from boron to aluminium. Why? Because there is an increase in the atomic radii. This discontinuity in the ionization enthalpy, it varies between your aluminium and gallium, and it varies between indium and thallium due to inability of your d electrons as well as your f electrons, which have got lower screening effect in order to compensate the increase in the nuclear charge. When you look into the sum of the ionization enthalpy for each of these elements, this is said to be very high. So what is the trend in ionization enthalpy? The ionization enthalpy, as expected from the general trend, will not decrease smoothly down the group, but it decreases from boron and aluminium due to increase in the atomic radii. So this kind of discontinuity in the ionization enthalpy is observed between your aluminium and gallium as well as between your indium and thallium. This is due to the inability of the d and f electrons, which have got lower screening effect in order to compensate the increase in the nuclear charge. So when you look into the sum of ionization enthalpy of these three elements, it is said to be high. Now, what happens to the trend in electronegativity? When you look down the group, your electronegativity decreases from boron to aluminium and then it increases. Okay, so first it decreases between your boron and aluminium and then it starts increasing. This is due to difference in the atomic size. So we have seen trend in group 13 elements. Then we are moving to the physical properties of group 13 elements. We are moving to physical properties. So we already know that boron is a non-metal. We have already seen that boron is non-metal in nature. Here boron is a non-metal while all others are metals. So we know that your p block element is including metals, non-metals as well as metalloids. So your boron is a non-metal and it is an hard black colored solid. So how it exists? It exists as hard black colored solid. So it is a hard black colored solid, and it exists in many allotropic forms. Because of strong crystalline lattice, your boron is having high melting point. Because of crystalline nature, it is having a high melting point. While you consider the rest of the members like aluminium, gallium, indium and thallium, they all are soft metals. When you look into they are soft metals with a decrease in the melting point and high electrical conductivity. And compare your gallium. See, gallium is having very low melting point, so it will be existing as liquid during summer due to high temperature. Okay, so we have seen the physical properties. Boron is a non-metal which is a hard black colored solid in nature. Because of its crystalline lattice, its melting point is very high. While the rest of the members like aluminium, gallium, indium and thallium, they are soft metals with a less melting point. Gallium's melting point is very low, so it will be existing as liquid during summer. Now we have moved to chemical properties. So we have moved to the next topic, chemical properties. So we have seen general introduction of p block elements. So trend in the periodic table we have seen, then we have seen physical properties, then we have seen chemical. We are going to see chemical properties. Now, due to the small size of the boron, we know that the sum of ionization enthalpy is very high. So this prevents it from plus 3 ions and force it to form covalent compounds. So boron's small size and boron's small atomic size and increased ionization enthalpy makes it to form covalent compounds. So this forms covalent compounds. Okay. Now, but when we move from boron to other members, that is boron to aluminium, the sum of ionization enthalpy of aluminium considerably decreases. So aluminium can form Al3 plus ions. Okay, I am repeating this statement. As we move from boron to aluminium, the sum of 3 ionization enthalpy is not that much increased. So your aluminium has the ability to form Al3 plus. Now I am moving down the group because of poor shielding and effective nuclear charge. So your N and S electrons will be holding tightly, which is responsible for inert pair effect. So thereby restrict their participation in the bonding. So because of this result only, here p orbital electron is involved in bonding, hence the name p block elements. Okay, so I am repeating the statement. When I move down the group from boron to aluminium, the sum of ionization enthalpy is not that much more. As a result, your aluminium can form Al3 plus ions. Now I am moving down the group because of poor shielding effect. So an effective nuclear charge is holding my N and S orbital electrons tightly, which are responsible for inert pair effect, and thereby they restrict these two electrons from participate in bonding. So N orbital electron and S orbital electron, due to poor shielding effect and effective nuclear charge because of inert pair effect, they will not participate in bonding. So the only orbital which is involved in bonding is p orbital's electron. Hence these elements are called as p block elements. So when you look into gallium and thallium, there also, I am writing. So when we look into gallium and indium, thallium, here you can observe both plus 3 oxidation state as well as plus 1 oxidation state. So this plus 1 oxidation state's stability is more for heavy metals. Say for example in thallium, the plus 1 oxidation state is predominant while plus 3 oxidation state will be oxidized. So a compound which is present in plus 1 oxidation state is more ionic than in plus 3 oxidation state. So the number of electrons around the central atom in a molecule of these compounds of elements will be 6. Okay, so in plus 3 oxidation state, you have a central atom around which you have electrons surrounding it. So you will be getting compounds of these elements. Say for example boron forming a covalent bond with fluorine BF3. In all these formation of compounds, the central atom in a molecule of these compounds will be having 6. Okay, so the number of electrons around the central atom of the boron family to form boron compounds will be 6. So these electron deficient molecules have a tendency to accept a pair of electrons in order to achieve stable octet configuration. So they will be behaving as Lewis bases. But this tendency decreases with increase in the size. Say for example, your BCl3 can accept a pair of lone pairs from ammonia to form BCl3 NH3. This example we have already seen. So BCl3 can accept a lone pair of electrons from nitrogen of ammonia to form BCl3 into ammonia. So in trivalent state, most of the compounds are hydrolyzed in water. So this trichloride on hydrolysis will be forming a tetrahedral complex. Even your aluminium forms octahedral complex. So this is about the chemical properties of group 13 elements. So let me sum up the chemical properties. Your boron is having small size and increased ionization enthalpy, hence more chances for it to form covalent compounds. But when we move from boron to aluminium, the sum of the ionization enthalpy is not much higher, so it can form Al3 plus ions. Now I am moving down the group because of the poor shielding and effective nuclear charge which is holding your Ns electrons tightly. As a result, they will not be participating in bonding. So the only electrons involved in bonding is from p orbital. Hence the name of these elements is called as p block elements. So your gallium, indium and thallium can be existing in +3 and +1 oxidation state, but when you compare the stability, your +1 oxidation state is predominant than your +3 oxidation state. So the central atom which is going to form covalent compounds will be having the number of electrons as 6. Say for example, boron along with fluorine is forming a compound. So here the central atom's number of electrons will be 6. Now if I hydrolyze these, then I will be getting tetrahedral complexes. In case of aluminium chloride, I will be getting octahedral complexes. So since they are electron deficient molecules, they can accept a lone pair of electrons to achieve stable octet. Look into these electron efficient compound BCl3. It can accept a lone pair of electrons from nitrogen, resulting in the formation of a complex BCl3NH3. Now this can be hydrolyzed to yield tetrahedral complexes. Now we have seen the chemical properties, then we are going to see the chemical reaction one by one. So the first reaction is reaction with air. So the first one will be reaction with air. See, since boron is not reactive in case of crystalline form, your aluminium will be forming an oxide layer on the surface which protects the metal from further attack. See, boron, because of its crystalline nature, is unreactive, but aluminium when exposed to air can form a thin oxide layer which is protecting the metal from further oxygen attack. So your amorphous boron and aluminium metal, I am referring this as amorphous boron. So because crystalline boron is unreactive, so your amorphous boron as well as your aluminium can react in air, can react with oxygen in air, resulting in the formation of boron oxide, which is B2O3, and aluminium oxide, that is Al2O3 respectively.